Are you not investing in real estate because you don't know what you're doing? Then this 4-episode podcast series is for you. Hi, my name is Adam Kemp, aka the Realtor for Hoopers, and I am a Colorado real estate agent. In episode 1, we went through the 4 types of real estate, 5 benefits of investing, and the 4 steps of getting started. Go back and listen to that episode if you missed it. In today's episode, episode 2, we are going to go through the 4 strategies to invest, 2 ways to get paid from buy and holds, and the 3 most profitable ways to invest in real estate.
Realtor for Hoopers, welcome to the main event. I can never ride the bench, shoot straight, I don't miss. I got something special in my bag of tricks. Every time I flick the wrist, you can bet that it's a switch. Realtor for Hoopers, welcome to the main event.
Let's get into the 4 strategies to invest. They're buy and holds, buy and flips, real estate investment trusts, and group investing. So buy and holds. Buy and holds are where you buy a property with every intention to keep that property for years to come, and then rent it out to people to generate income and receive the other benefits that we discussed in episode 1. Later in this episode, we are going to discuss the 2 main ways investors carry out this buy and hold strategy. Number 2 is buy and flips. This is where you buy a property with the intention to renovate it and then resell it quickly for a profit. We've all heard about fix and flips. These are all buy and hold strategies. This strategy is typically the most high risk, high reward strategy in real estate investing. Real estate investment trusts. This is where a company will own, operate, and or finance real estate and then allows individuals to buy shares of a certain portfolio. These real estate investment trusts, or REITs, have portfolios within all types of real estate. I like to call this strategy silent investing. Yes, you own a piece of real estate, but you really don't have any say on how that portfolio or how that real estate is managed. Think about this strategy as more like the stock market. Number 4 is group investing. There are many options within this strategy, but in an effort to keep it simple, this is where a group of people kind of pool their money and skills and experience together to invest in real estate as a group. This can obviously be a great way to spread the risk and to get started investing in real estate, as long as you partner with the right people, establish roles and responsibilities within the group, and then have a legal agreement that is a partnership that will direct how you guys are moving forward as a group. So let's go through these 4 strategies one more time. Buy and holds, buy and flips, real estate investment trusts, and group investing. Now, within that buy and hold strategy, there are 2 main ways that you can get paid from renters. These are short-term renting and long-term renting. Let's define both and then go through some pros and cons. First, short-term renting. This is typically renting for any period 29 days or less, or simply put, less than a month. Some pros of short-term renting are that the nightly rental rates are typically higher than long-term rental rates on a monthly basis. Another pro is adjustable pricing based on demand. So you can easily increase or decrease your rental rate you're offering based on the home, seasonality of an area, or for a certain event that's in that area, etc. So some cons for short-term renting. There's a lot more research that you need to do in short-term renting on the front end. You have to research what's the demand for short-term renting in that area, how you're going to furnish the place, how you're going to compete and set yourselves apart from all the other Airbnbs and VRBOs in that area. Another con is that you have to understand the ordinances and the neighbors in that area before you buy the property. There's nothing worse buying a property that you plan to short-term rent and realizing that that area doesn't allow for short-term renting. Or in that area, the neighbors hate short-term renters. And so they're just going to make life a headache for you. So do your research on the front end in the area you're about to buy in. The last con is it can just be more of a headache and capital intensive for short-term renting. Things just typically get lost or broken in a short-term rental property more than long-term renting because people don't care about the property as much. It can also be more expensive to manage a short-term rental because you have to maybe pay a property manager and you're going to have to buy multiple sets of sheets and towels, etc. The summary here for short-term renting is that you can make a lot more money, but it also can be more stressful and take more money to get and stay in the game as well. So there may be a trade-off there. So let's get to long-term renting next. So if short-term renting is anything that's less than a month, then long-term renting is anything that's longer than a month. Some pros of long-term rentals. One, it's way more hands-off. You're not consistently looking for new renters or trying to figure out if you have the right rental rate. The market is pretty much going to decide your rental rate because in most areas, there's lots of competition in the area. It may be hard to have a higher rental rate than others unless you have something that's really setting your property apart. Another pro is that it is predictable cash flow. It may not be as high as short-term renting, but it is a consistent cash flow over a long period of time. Now, some cons to long-term renting. The prices are pretty much locked in. Like I said, the market is pretty much going to determine what your rental rate is for that area and that type of property. The other con is that you're probably going to have to spend hundreds, if not thousands of dollars when you have turnover, which is in between renters. Because long-term renters are typically harder on a property. There's a little bit more wear and tear on the property with long-term renters, especially if they have pets and or children. So as you can see, there's lots of advantages and disadvantages to short-term renting and long-term renting, right? You have to decide what your financial goals are and how much managing you are willing to do throughout the period that you own and rent out that property. Let's get into the most profitable ways to invest in real estate. There are many ways to invest in real estate and make a profit, but I want to share with you the 3 most profitable ways. These are the ways that you are going to get the most return on your investment, or ROI. The top 3 are rentals, leasing options, and wholesaling. Rentals. Now, this is what most people think of when investing in real estate. This is where you buy a property and you rent it out via short-term or long-term renting that we just talked about. But something needs to be said here. Not all residential properties are good for renting. You need to make sure that you are buying the property at the right price in an area that's good for renting and that you will be able to cash flow with the rent that you will be charging. If you get 1 or 2 of these things wrong, it can drastically affect your ROI and maybe even turn into a negative cash flow, and nobody wants that. Now, in a later episode, we are going to go through how to analyze and evaluate these properties for renting. The second most profitable way to invest in real estate is called a lease option or rent to own. This is where the investor or the owner will not only rent the property long-term to someone, but rent it out to someone who is looking to buy that property from the investor at some point. What is good about this way is that the renters tend to make that property their own, take better care of the property, and maybe even do some upgrades. The renters will also pay a premium on rental rates and maybe even give you a non-refundable deposit on the property. The third most profitable way to invest into real estate is called wholesaling. This is where you find a house at a really steep discount and then flip that contract to an investor before even buying the property. And then you go to that investor and say, hey, I want 20 grand or even 40 grand as like a finder's fee. What's great about this way to invest into real estate is it doesn't really take any money or good credit. You just have to have a really good system to doing your research, evaluating the properties, and making sure you're going to be able to flip that contract. Now, word of the wise with wholesale. You can make good money wholesaling, but you got to remember that you don't ever actually own real estate. So maybe think about taking some of that money that you are making from wholesaling and buying a rental or lease option property. So let's go through these 3 most profitable ways one more time. Renting, lease options, and wholesaling. Thank you for tuning in to episode 2. Please like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. I'm really trying to provide value to you in this real estate investing podcast series. If you have any questions, please ask them, comment. I will answer them right away. If you want to connect with me, you can always do that on all of my socials at Realtor for Hoopers or at realtorforhoopers.com.
We not one and the same. I'm Stephen Curry, the range. I Allen out with the cross. I'm Kobe Bryant, the fade. I'm one that's calling the plays. Now what else more can I say?